Okay, let me talk about Ohio State once again. I believe Ohio State is going to win the national title in 2021, this season, because the national title is going to be played in 2021, early January, okay? Basically it's a 2020 national title, but you get the point, all right? But yeah, this year, as I speak today, I believe Ohio State is going to win the national title. I didn't make an entire show dedicated to college football to start the year, where I made a bunch of college football predictions, just because there was so much unknown when it came to college football this year. Who's going to play these amount of games, who's going to play this amount of games, what players are opting out, schedules have been changed, all that great stuff. There was just so much chaos that went on in the offseason in regards to getting the college football season actually started. I didn't want to make an episode, predicting all these things, but I will say, had I made a prediction, had I made a show predicting what was going to happen in college football, Ohio State would have been my pick to win the national title this year, and they're my pick currently right now, okay? Why do I believe Ohio State is going to win the national title? Well, let's start with Justin Fields. Justin Fields is arguably the best player in all of college football, not named Trevor Lawrence. He's that good, okay? At least at the quarterback position, okay? And listen, in today's college football world, in order to win a national title, you need good quarterback play. A big reason why Georgia is not in the top 4 right now is because they don't have a good quarterback. Stetson Bennett, he's not good. JT Daniels, he's good. He has potential, but the bottom line is Georgia, they don't have a quarterback. They've got 4 or 5 stars all over their roster, but because they don't have a quarterback, they're not relevant in the college football playoff picture. And listen, I'm going to list you off the quarterbacks that have won national titles over the past 4 seasons. Deshaun Watson won Clemson a national title. Tua Tagovailoa won Alabama a national title. Trevor Lawrence won Clemson a national title. And Joe Burrow won the LSU Tigers a national title last season. Do you notice the trend right there? Those are Heisman Trophy contenders, and those are legitimate NFL starting quarterbacks that have gone on to win national titles. So you gotta have a good quarterback. Justin Fields is that guy. He's very, very good. He very well could be a top 5 pick this year. Yeah, so you got the quarterback figured out. The wide receiver core for Ohio State is very, very good. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, they're 2 of the best wide receivers in all of college football. Even a guy like Julian Fleming, who's very, very good on Ohio State's roster, has not even gotten significant playing time up to this point, but I won't be shocked if we see some more Julian Fleming as the season progresses, as he gets more comfortable with the scheme and with the playbook. And Jeremy Rucker's a pretty good tight end, okay? And Ohio State also can run the football very effectively. So not only do they have a very dynamic passing attack led by Justin Fields and those good weapons, they've also got the ability to run the football effectively with their very good offensive line. They've got very good players up front on the offensive line, and they recently just rushed for 346 yards versus Michigan State. Trey Sermon's a pretty good running back. Master Teague's pretty good. And not to mention, Justin Fields running the football, he's very, very effective, okay? And the Ohio State defense is pretty good in my opinion as well. Now, it's not an elite group, but it's a solid group. They're definitely missing Chase Young from last year. They're definitely missing Jeffrey Okudah from last year, but this is a defense that's still full of 4- and 5-star recruits. Shaun Wade's a very good cornerback. He might very well be a first-round pick this year. Zach Harrison's a very good edge rusher who's starting to really come into his own. Now, this secondary overall is very, very suspect. They did struggle versus Indiana a couple of weeks ago, but in that Indiana game, Ohio State at one point was up 35-7. And Indiana is a top 15 team this year. And I understand Ohio State has not played great opponents this year outside of Indiana, but I truly believe Ohio State struggling to beat Indiana actually is going to help them down the stretch, because it showed Ohio State, hey, listen, we're a good team, but we're not a great team quite yet. Ryan Day and that coaching staff are going to emphasize to Justin Fields, hey, you need to be better. They're going to emphasize to that defense, that secondary, hey, you need to be better. So I think that was really just a wake-up call for Ohio State. And by the way, during the process of them not playing their best game, they still beat a very good Indiana team, in my opinion, okay? And when we look at the college football landscape, I truly believe among the contending teams, this race is wide open for who's going to win the national title. Alabama, they're very good. They're probably, maybe, the most talented team on paper, but we've seen some Nick Saban teams in the past struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Who's a mobile quarterback? Justin Fields. And we've seen Johnny Manziel and Deshaun Watson give Nick Saban some trouble in the past. I'm not saying Justin Fields is as good as a Deshaun Watson. He's definitely better than Johnny Manziel. But, Justin Fields, he definitely has the opportunity to exploit the Alabama defense. And by the way, when we saw Alabama face off against Georgia, Georgia had some open wide receivers. They moved the football effectively versus Alabama. The only problem was they had Stetson Bennett throwing them wide receivers the football. And Stetson Bennett is garbage. He's no good. He's trash. He's just not a good starting quarterback, okay? So, listen, I think Justin Fields can definitely handle that Alabama defense. You look at Clemson. Clemson struggled to beat Boston College, people. They also lost to Notre Dame on the road. And listen, you could talk about, Trevor Lawrence didn't play in that game. Listen, the Clemson offense was not the problem for them in that matchup. The quarterback position was not the issue. The issue was their defense. So Clemson, while talented, they're vulnerable. We look at Notre Dame, sure, they're undefeated, but do they have the 4 and 5 star players that Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia has? Not so sure. I think eventually Notre Dame could run out of gas. And you look at Ohio State, the question is their secondary, obviously. But I still believe Ohio State can win the national title this year for this final reason. I believe in head coach Ryan Day. Ryan Day is, in my opinion, one of the better head coaches in all of college football. And I understand he inherited a very good roster at Ohio State. Urban Meyer definitely left him in good hands. But we can't ignore the fact that Ryan Day is 21-1 in his career as a head coach at Ohio State. And last year, in the only game that Ryan Day has ever lost in his career at Ohio State, Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes fell to the Clemson Tigers in the college football semifinals. And in that game, Ohio State did not lose because of lack of talent. They lost in that game because they were outcoached and Ohio State did not execute better than Clemson down the stretch. I think that was a learning experience for Ryan Day and the Ohio State coaching staff. And I believe Ryan Day, Justin Fields, and the key players that are still on Ohio State's roster that went through that heartbreaking loss last year, they have learned from that moment, in my opinion. And I think they're going to transfer that to the playoffs this year because Ohio State, they're going to be in the playoffs, in my opinion, because the Big Ten just changed the rules to allow Ohio State to compete for a Big Ten title. They'll be facing Northwestern in the Big Ten title game. They'll beat Northwestern. Northwestern's a good team, but not a great team. They just lost to Michigan State, the same team that Ohio State just dominated the other day. So I believe Ohio State has all the ingredients and they have all the pieces to win a national title this year. And I believe the Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Justin Fields and Ryan Day, will win the national title in 2021. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.